Hello, and thank you for joining us for a short discussion on Active Archive. Before we jump into a description of active archiving, I want to cover some of the issues and problems that have led to a need for this type of approach to managing data. The value of data is dynamic. It changes over time. And because we're faced with exponential data growth combined with shrinking budgets, we want to align the cost of storage with the varying value of data. As the business value and retention periods of that data change, we need some way to assure that the storage resources used to maintain the data change as well. We've seen this desire to use the appropriate storage based on speed, cost, and capacity for the appropriate data based on business value, likelihood of recall, and retention, displayed as the infamous storage pyramid. In this pyramid, the most highly accessed and valued data is stored at the top, on the most expensive medium, and the long-term storage data, or duplicate data, is stored at the bottom, where costs are much lower, making long-term retention more realistic. The pyramid has grown more complex over the years as new forms of storage have been introduced, such as flash, fiber channel disk, SATA disk, and fiber channel tape in various capacities and speeds. We want to match storage requirements to storage resources, so it seems this pyramid would make that easy. But the truth of the matter is, it's been a very complex and sometimes impossible task for IT professionals. According to Mark Peters of Enterprise Strategy Group, this pyramid has never actually existed. The pyramid implies that it's an easy and smooth transition between the different layers of storage, but that's not been the case. The pyramid has actually looked more like a tiered cake, with steep drop-offs between each layer, and movement between these tiers has required multiple, complicated applications, incompatible subsystems, or manual intervention, which makes management and tracking a nightmare if even possible. What this pyramid has been missing is an intelligent abstraction layer that allows applications to interact with data on any level within the storage hierarchy. Active archiving is the newest trend within the storage industry to offer just such an approach. You can think of active archiving as the ability to extend the file system over a myriad of different storage structures, including tape, to appear as a single entity, allowing for data to reside on the most appropriate level based on its characteristics. An active archive contains production data, no matter how old or infrequently accessed, that can still be retrieved online. Access to this archive is through a file system interface. This is how Active Archive differs significantly from previous hierarchical storage managers, or HSM. Active archiving is not a single product. It's a collaborative solution offered by software and hardware vendors, and in the most ideal scenario, takes advantage of much of your existing equipment as well. Let's look at some of the specifics of what's changed in the industry and how you can incorporate these new changes into your existing technology. As archiving has become the largest growth market in data storage, two significant developments have occurred, one in software, one in hardware. The biggest development comes from the ability to expand the file system to tape. Extending the file system to tape is not necessarily new. It's been done for many years in the mainframe and broadcast arenas. What is new is that today, more and more manufacturers are offering the same tried-and-true technology in open systems domain. So you now have the ability to access all of your data online without having to dedicate large numbers of costly hard drives and keep up with the associated cost of running and maintaining those drives. And that brings up the second change in the market. Tape hardware has evolved to become a fast, reliable, and cost-efficient means of holding archived data, with the speeds of LTO4 and LTO5 tape technology offering 240 to 280 megabytes per second. Even a relatively small tape library can compete with some of the fastest disk technology on the market today. Reliability of tape has seen breakthrough leaps in advancement, with today's Linear Open Tape Consortium delivering reliability that has increased over 700% in the last decade. Combining this with manufacturers' ability to offer drive lifecycle management and library lifecycle management for tracking and auto-correcting, the tape hardware industry has truly entered a new and revitalized era. Users can now implement full media lifecycle management for the tapes used by this hardware, which tracks every aspect of tape life, performance, and reliability, and assures that data is stored as originally written. With new built-in data integrity validation, users can rely on tape much in the same way they've relied on disk for reliable access to information. Combining the speed and reliability of modern tape with its consistent power efficiency, high density, and attractive pricing allows tape to hold up to 80% of active archive content in today's data center. What does this new configuration look like in the data center? It's really just another step along the evolutionary path of computing. As we entered the new century, data was either on expensive primary disk or inexpensive tape, both on-site in the data center and off-site for disaster recovery. Around 2004, SATA disk drives were introduced into the market. They were slower than most Tier 1 disk offerings, but higher in density and lower in power consumption, which made them a good target for staging file system data before sending it off to tape. While not always appropriate for structured data like Oracle or Sybase, using these second-tier disks allowed for smaller amounts of expensive primary disk to be used. Now that active archive applications make it possible to write directly to tape, we have a third tier of online storage, once again offering a greater density, lower power consumption choice at a much more competitive price point. Some active archive applications even allow for structured or database data to be stored on second and third tier storage. And to make the environment even less complex, there's no reason not to use the same tape library you're using for Active Archive for your offsite disaster recovery as well. Simply virtualize the tape library into 2 or more units. While it's perfectly fine to continue using your existing backup application in an Active Archive environment, many new data centers are relying exclusively on the diverse abilities of their Active Archive system to manage all data for online access as well as backup copies. This approach is starting to gain favor in existing data centers as well. Active Archive finally brings into being a true storage pyramid, allowing the highest business value data to reside at the top, with easily accessible tiers of lower-cost storage descending. For more information on the organizations behind Active Archive or to find the best solution for your individual business needs, visit the Active Archive Alliance website at activearchive.com.